So we're going to do a little wave shaping workshop, this time using the Saturator's Waveshaper, the Saturator, the audio effect inside of Ableton. The best way that I like to really watch distortion is in an oscilloscope, but it's nice to be able to see the frequency content too. So this is a really cool kind of setup for observing a Waveshaper. I can even expand this to get a little more data, and now I can bend my waves up. I always start with a sine wave whenever I'm doing this, as you can imagine. Throw that in there with full sustain to keep it on sine wave. This is a nice low 64 Hertz C. I can increase my depth here and phase lock this oscilloscope. Now I'll be able to really see the wave shaping happen. It's just distorting it, but you're not just clipping it. All the other traditional distortion models in any analog model distortion device are going to add even or odd or varying combinations of natural overtones, because that's how clipping and distortion really work. But the Waveshaper is almost more rad because it gives us the ability to not just clip the tops off and add natural harmonics, but to get into more creative, weird shapes like this. So my favorite way to use this device is just to grab a couple of Max for Live LFOs, throw them into a rack. LFO Max, throw that sucker in here. Might not be a terrible idea to have an envelope follower in here either. Envelope follower I'm going to put in front because it's going to allow me to use the volume of my envelope here as a control message for modulating the Waveshaper. Let's map that right away to our curve. Now we can make some drive. Check that out. Rise and fall parameters. Let's put a slow attack on it. Crank it up a little bit. Not a lot of mojo here, so let's see. Gotta find the sweet spot. Let's give it some more drive. Now we're really getting to use this thing in creative ways. Let's try and map also maybe the depth. Go slower on the rise. So this can be a cool way to essentially combine distortion with volume. But in this case, I'm going to hold off on the envelope shaper and I'm going to manually curve this a little more. This is one of my favorite little tones. I'm going to go ahead and grab the mono sequencer and throw it in front of the track because I'm just old and tired of thinking about notes all the time. Let's go ahead and octave shift this down a little bit. Do a little bit of randomness on our pitch. We put it in C minor. More. Give myself more interesting of a pattern. A little random on the duration too. Here we go. Check it out. Oh yeah, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this into monophonic mode, which it already is. I'm going to give myself a little more voltage. One thing I'm going to do too quick is gate my microphone. now what I'd probably do, before I do much more here, hold on a second. So we can have a little rhythm here. Now we have a wave that's really alive, got a lot of cool dynamics. Let's get a little more sustainy on there. Now what I'd map to my macros are my offset controls, and then my depth controls as well. So in fact, I'm going to put this offset on 5. I'll do rate, depth, and rate, depth. Now wait, you ready? Once I start driving this, you guys are going to freak. This is going to top it all off. I take drive and I put it on a macro, and I take output gain and I put it on the same macro. I call it amount, or AMT, make it red because it's important. Now I set the minimum value of these to be 0, because I never want to, when I have the knob all the way down, I don't want it to do anything. And then as I turn it up, maybe I can drive it up to like 24 dB. It'll go down 24, negative 24 on the output. So now this is just like a passive device, and it's just only adding distortion. It might be more fun if you can watch the oscilloscope the whole time. Let's throw it right in the rack. So what if we tried something other than just a sine wave? Let's try this, hold on. Over here. So I just did some time velocity mapping, and I'm going to hit velocity and just randomize the heck out of it. Crossfade some oscillators with our velocity. So I like this, but I still feel like it needs some envelope, because I like, this is cool, but it's just like hitting. It's pretty neat. I don't know. melody's getting a little boring. Let's try this. 5. Try that. Reset every 2 bars. No. Oh yeah, there we go. Awesome. Sick. So now let's do some envelope modulation. Let's do a little more monkeying here. I'm going to go back to the sine wave just for good measure. One of these I want to envelope. We could try enveloping this period one. That could be cool. Instead of this envelope though. Unfortunately, I want to use the envelope, the MIDI triggered one. So that's going to be way over here. Sad. Well, luckily we could build this all into one rack and just keep it with the sine wave maybe. I don't know. For now though, let's do this. Period. Yeah, check that out. Now I've got like envelope triggered wave shaping. And maybe it's really obnoxious, pretty much, totally. But it's still fun. Let's try this. Try one more method. I'm going to go to like whole notes and go to repeats. Let's see. Don't repeat every 2 measures, repeat every 4 measures. Ridiculous. Let's go never reset. Oh yeah, this. Okay, this is mayhem. But you asked about wave shaping and all this stuff happened. But it's pretty cool to see how wave shaping works over a sine wave. I mean, it's neat when you make a cool patch and send through there, but even when you just are working with a simple sine wave, there it is, you can get almost better results, you know. This has been James Patrick, and I hope you check more of us out over at slamacademy.com. We've got online classes in Ableton, sound design, and plenty of other fun topics.